of action.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it.
For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury.
To subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws.
All experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed.
But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security.
We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
And we're going to take our country back from these people.
USA, USA, USA. Why do I have my hat on? What's up, everybody? I don't have the regular opening. I wanted to do something different for Wheel of Judiciary. And then that track, too, isn't the edited track that I thought it was. So this is kind of impromptu. I was thinking about waiting till tomorrow, but the hurricane is going through Florida, and, you know, my son, ex-wife, and I don't know how you term a former stepson. My stepson, former. But anyways, my family is right in the middle of the path, and they're staying there. So I don't want to do this tomorrow night right when the storm hits. So we're doing it now. All right. Please feel free to call in if you want. I know you guys usually know how this works, but this is the new Wheel of Judiciary. It's entirely similar but different. But we all can play. So this is the deal. I'm going to go right into it. And this isn't going to take just a minute. There's 16 questions here. But this is how we play now. Okay, you ready? You ready? Where's my... There it is. Alright, so it's two things you have to remember. At least this time around. We're going to see how this works. Because as you know, the shirts that we win cost money. Somebody has to sponsor it, or I have to figure out a way to purchase the shirts. It's an undertaking. You know, plus the time just for this show, you know, took me all day without having to set it up. So this is the deal. In order to play the game correctly, you must send your answers to themarchus@gmail.com. And the reason why it's that email is I haven't set up the website yet. 2, all right, and this is very important because this is where the money for the shirts come in. Immediately after that comment, immediately after that email, comment on the YouTube video saying that you sent the email, all right? So what that does is that registers with YouTube saying, oh, I've got people viewing this, I've got people commenting, that puts us higher on the search results, and will give me like a fraction of a penny, you know, for every comment. Certainly won't pay for a $15 shirt, but it'll help. So it's not hard to get every answer, every question correct, answer correct. That doesn't make sense. I really put this together really fast towards the end because none of the Wheel of Judiciary stuff was set up since the other hard drive fried. So I just like put this stuff together as fast as I possibly could. I don't even have all the answers finished, but so it's not hard to get every question correct. Out of the correct questions, 3 will be chosen at random on Constitution Day, possibly, but maybe before I leave. I'm not 100% on that, how I'm going to get that message out. So, Ixnay the Constitution A, I'm going to pick the, out of everybody who commented on YouTube and sent an email, I'll pick them Thursday. I think. I'm not 100% about that either. But at some point next week, I'll pick a day, and 3 people will receive one of these shirts, and I was supposed to grab the image for the shirts, but of course, I didn't. Let's see if I can find one. Oh, the one's right there. Okay. Let me do this. Image. Yes. Browse. Desktop. 17. There it is right there. Boom. Open. That guy. This right here, and it has the Marchus on the back. Suppose I better get that image as well. Image. Sure. Browse. And that one. Open. Okay. And here is the back. So I wanted to have some of these ready for the event with the new name. So there it is on the front and the back. That's it. That's the shirt that you will win, or 3 people will win. And so the idea I had was giving you the answers immediately after Far From Normal, Bud and Jay Moss's show on Tuesday. I think that's what I'm going to do, is give the answers on Tuesday and then randomly pick either on that day or the Thursday before the event, next Thursday, who will be receiving the 3 shirts for free. How's that? That sound all right? But let me reiterate, if you're just joining now, I wanted to do this a little bit impromptu tonight because, my family is in the middle of the hurricane, and it's hitting tomorrow. So I didn't want to, really think about this tomorrow. That's got to be kind of understandable, I'd imagine. So as far as everything else, they're all video questions just like before. The only, the nice thing is we don't have to sit here and wait for participants, and you can play at your leisure. So hopefully we get at least 3 people who do the 2 steps to play to win a shirt. On top of that, this is also good practice for the Monday's community conference call to actions. This Monday, I believe Diane Lyons will be sharing her call to action with us in a little bit more detail, but I haven't received confirmation on that. If not, then I'll share it for her, but I'm hoping she'll come on with me at least and share that with you. So let's get right into it. Oh yeah, what day is it? It's Judiciary Day! And here's the first question. So this is what you're going to have to do. You can put question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 16, or just do the answer in the email. However you want to do it. It's simple, easy to send an email to themarches@gmail.com until I get the website set up. Question number 1.
But on the same side, I never had any aspirations to be an advocate. I never had any aspirations to run for governor. I never had any aspirations to be in politics. It really all stems from...
It really all stems from what? What are the 4 things she mentions, besides the obvious, getting educated, that led up to Jennifer's meeting the one particular mother who set her on her current path? Rewatching this today and choosing questions, I could have got so many, and a lot of these questions are personal questions, and some of them are legal questions or legal terms that were mentioned in the show that we will give you the answers to. Or you can get the answers yourself to them. That's the whole point of this, is not only to help educate you, but help you learn, like, I need to know what this is. I need to Google this right now. Because for me, if I don't do that, I completely forget about it. And this show has been a way to teach me to educate myself on an almost constant basis. So I'm hoping that what I have been trying to do for you, I've also had a goal for myself to learn more. And in searching for these things myself, I have learned tenfold more than what I would just get from the show. So, you see other terms, other things, and you're curious, you're already learning about something, so you sometimes go on to different paths. I mean, I'll sit here, like, figuring out questions the way I used to, and 4 hours later, I haven't even got a question yet. I'm learning about something completely different. So I'm hoping this is an extra way for you guys to take that one more step to help educate yourselves about our common problem, our common enemy, and then also get you practiced in sending emails and making calls when it comes to the calls to action. So that's the first one. You have to list first things, or 4 things for the first question. Skipping the answer, obviously, because I'm going to give those to you on Tuesday after the Far From Normal radio show. Question number 2.
At that moment, my email, I think we were well over in like the first 48 hours.
Wow. That was loud. I forgot to lower the volume on that beep. So these are super simple. And one issue of Wheel of Judiciary was, I'd get participants who didn't watch the show. So making like coming up with questions that are personal like that seemed to bother me, because I'm like, well, you'll never get it right. So this is also a way you could just go back and watch the video. It's just over an hour long, and all of these are in order. So that first question, you'll see first. The last question in this list, you'll see last. It's pretty simple. So, well over how many emails in the first 48 hours? It's just beeped out. You should be able to find that really easy. Question number 3.
When I see the thousands of people that can stand up and fill the streets for but let our children die, it makes me sick.
Fill the streets for a what now? That makes her sick. The only problem with doing it this way is I really, really want to give you the answers, because it's kind of fun to have a winner and a loser. But I'm very curious to see how many people participate in the new Wheel of Judiciary. Hopefully more than 3. All right, question number 4. We understand how you got into this. Your child's, or your son's child, and
no.
Oh no! Nope, you're wrong.
My son was charged with first-degree felony murder because he.
Jennifer's son was charged with first-degree felony murder for doing what? If you watched the show yesterday, you know, and you were probably just like me, like, are you freaking kidding me? How is that even possible? I mean, first-degree felony murder. If you haven't watched the show, go watch it. It's pretty incredible. Some of, we all have our personal stories and how we got here. I would say 99% of us have one thing in common, and that is we have children. There are a few amazing individuals like Marissa Hamilton, Miko Hayes, who do this and do not have children, which is incredible. It shows that we can extend beyond the people affected to the general public to get things changed. And there's more than just them. Those two have been on the show, so they, of course, stick out in my mind. But that's the one common theme. Other than that, our stories, though somewhat similar, are very unique in most cases. All right, question number 5. Boom.
We won that case because we educated the entire jury, the entire city in Wichita, Kansas, about jury nullification and the right we possess as a juror to judge not only the accused, but the law that's actually accusing them.
That's very interesting. And the answer descriptions are great, even though I'm not done with them, because not only are you going to learn what jury nullification is, you're also going to learn what she mentioned about teaching the jury that they're also... Well, let's watch it again real quick.
We won that case because we educated the entire jury, the entire city in Wichita, Kansas, about jury nullification and the right we possess as a juror to judge not only the accused, but the law that's actually accusing them.
To judge the law that is accusing them. That's interesting. Did you know that? Would you know that if you were doing jury duty? Probably not. I certainly didn't realize that at all. Not even one little bit. Ever have I thought that the jury has to judge the law as well. That's completely new to me. And this process that we're all going through, most of us are learning this stuff for the first time. Very few of us went to law school or, you know, had anything to do with the practice of law before this. We were forced to learn as our lives were being destroyed. So what is jury nullification? Is question number 5. Question number 6. How many people are watching this, I wonder? I'm not really looking at the comments, and I should be. Oh. I got a text from my boy. He says, I'm trying to watch the show. Oh, you are? Alright. Well, let's see here. Are you watching now? Question mark. While we're waiting on his answer, let's go to the Facebooks. And there he is. 60 views, 4 people watching. I don't really get that at all. 60 people saw it and said, oh, that guy. No thanks. Or are 60 people watching it, but they're only showing 4 watching. Anyways, question 6. Boom.
She started this hashtag that I think is very powerful that she needs to get credit for.
So, oh, see, I didn't flip this camera around. It's backwards. So what is the hashtag that Raymond mentioned that Jennifer should be known for? Question number 7. We'll move right along.
Just recently, we had a former mayor's son was repeatedly trying to get contact with his child, even to the point that they did a protest at the biological mother's house demanding that they see his son.
So what was the outcome of the mayor's son trying to see the mayor's grandson? This is just a horrible, horrible story. And if you didn't see the show yesterday, I mean, devastating. I wish I could tell you tonight what happened. But you can go get that answer from the show. You can watch it either here on the Marchus, my profile page, whatever group I shared it to, or whoever shared it. But, of course, YouTube, because that's where you're going to have to say, I sent the email. Question number 8.
Then our kids are being slapped on pharmaceuticals so that they can silence them. I have 5-year-olds that have been addicted to...
Addicted to what? What prescription medications does Jennifer mention right then? Question number 9.
Jennifer, I mean, we don't make the laws, we just enforce them. You're a liar. That's not what happened.
Her passion is something else, man. It's really incredible. So we generally believe that police officers are just doing their job when they kidnap children or, you know, many other things. That's usually, our explanation, our thought process when something goes horribly wrong. Jennifer doesn't accept that excuse. Accept. I put the wrong word there. She doesn't accept that excuse. Why? Question number 10.
There's a reason why aunts and uncles are not a viable placement. Not because they're not really viable.
Why are children put with foster parents nearly 100% of the time when there are direct and indirect family members and even friends willing to take the children? I think we all know that. You probably don't even need to watch the video from yesterday to know the answer to that question. Even if you are not in family law reform, I bet you can figure it out. Question number 11.
That person was found guilty, so they must have done it. Oh, no. No. You need to go sit in a courtroom because there's this little trick they have now called motions in limine. And what the motion in limine means...
Motion in limine. I confess, I've never heard of it. What is a motion in limine? I wrote it down yesterday. I found the... This is the piece of paper I found. The first thing that I saw out of the corner of my eye. It just barely fits on there. Oh, and it's backwards. Motion in limine. I spelt it wrong, too. I figured it had a Y at the end of it. So what is a motion in limine? There is a legal term that you may never have heard of, and now you will know it. Thanks to Jennifer Wynn and Judiciary Day. Question number 12.
We have a system where, in fact, I'm getting ready to implement it as well. But I will have retained attorneys for my grandchildren, all of them, who are in school.
Why is Jennifer going to retain attorneys for all of her grandchildren who are in school? Why? If you watched the show, you certainly know why. And even if you didn't, and you've watched other shows, especially The Wheel of Furpa, I'm sure you can figure out why. All right, moving on. I wonder if my man ever figured out. He hasn't said anything yet. Moving on. Question number 13.
I just wanted to call and say that she is a wonderful person.
Yes, she really is.
Well, I wanted her to talk about the task force, the Child Welfare Task Force.
Okay.
That we started in Kansas. I wanted to know if she was still going to participate in that.
So that was Carrie. Again, Carrie, even though I mentioned yesterday, and I apologizing that I forgot her last name, and I mispronounced her first name. I said it was Terry, but in fact it's Carrie with a K, and I was going to get her last name again, and of course, in my haste, I forgot. Thank you so much, Carrie, for calling into the show and waiting. Carrie waited almost the entire hour to ask that question. She called in almost right at the same time that Raymond called in, and Raymond waited. Thank you, Raymond, because I believe I went off on... oh, no, that's when we got the question about her son. And I was shocked to find out what initiated Jennifer to be in the situation of an advocate activist fighting with us. I thought it was completely different. You know, and then we went into that whole story, so, which was incredible. So Raymond was waiting, and he had to go to work. Raymond was waiting for at least 10 minutes. Carrie called in, like, right at the same time, maybe moments afterwards, and waited the entire hour to ask this question of her. So let's play it one more time for Carrie. Thank you so much, Carrie, for calling. And thank you even more for waiting so long. Being a huge talk radio fan myself, I know people wait a long time to get on the air, and a lot of them will wait and never get on the air. And fortunately, I do not have that problem. Fortunately or unfortunately. But that's just fantastic that you waited so long. Most people would have given up, and it was such a great question and something we would have never heard of or found out about hadn't you asked it. So thank you for the 7th or 8th time. Let's play that once again.
I just wanted to call and say that she is a wonderful person.
Yes, she really is.
Well, I wanted her to talk about the task force, the Child Welfare Task Force.
Okay.
That we started in Kansas. I wanted to know if she was still going to participate in that.
It's a very interesting answer. And a senator of Kansas agrees with Jennifer Wynn about her answer to that question. For the answer, obviously, watch the show and send the email to themarch.us@gmail.com, and then comment on YouTube saying that you sent the email, and you could receive a Million Parrot March shirt. Million Parrot March on the front, the Marches on the back. And I don't know if you saw their email earlier, but I was able to put a few of these together, have a few of them available at the event. But man, really put me in a bind. I'll tell you what. All right, question number 14. Boom.
Well, we have 7,000 taken in Kansas, and only 1% had substantiated abuse.
Wow. So what percent of the 7,000 children in Kansas had cases of that the abuse was substantiated, or cases of substantiated abuse? This was very interesting to me, and the answer was slightly surprising because I thought the percentage would be lower, but it isn't. But it's still it's hundreds of children just in that state who are in CPS care, and there is no abuse. So how is that even possible? How does CPS, Child Protective Services, take a child from a family when there's no abuse or neglect? How does that work exactly? Huh? So how isn't that 0? Why is there even a percent, first of all? All right. Going past that, we know that the due process does not exist in juvenile court. It did to some extent at one point, but like I said, family court is a bastardized version of juvenile court. And so what happened is family court was created, boom. Now it's a completely illegal, corrupt court system. That didn't say quite separate from its original cousin. It has corrupt its cousin. So the due process that was once, still cherished by juvenile or AKA welfare court simply does not exist in some areas as it did in the 90s. I was in juvenile court, and I remember the people there, and it was a very strange feeling to have people trying to keep me in a place that I didn't want to be. To me, the feeling at that moment, when I heard the words coming out of their mouth, I think he should stay here for whatever reason, were like, you evil motherfuckers. I don't want to fucking stay. Sorry. I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking. Luckily, I was 16. So that helped me right off the bat. But while I was in placement, I mean, there were kids there younger than 10. I don't even understand how a kid is in kid jail under the age of 10. I guess it makes sense. There are a few, yeah, it happens for sure. But, yeah, all courts in the 90s, and even like our friend Cher Lagaris, she had a case in the 90s. She was completely successful, and then basing a future case off of that one, it failed horribly. Also, civil cases that were awarded hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in the early 90s now would be completely thrown out before they're even seen. I mean, that's what's happened to our justice system because of incentives in it. You put rewards, rewards for production works in places like Circuit City, right? Yeah, they went out of business. You put rewards in the government. It's just it's incredible how stupid people are. You know that how many were there? 26 people in the course of 3 months came up with these incentives. And I know I've said this before. 11 of those, they say, were Title 4D workers, whatever that means. The other 15 were Department of Health and Human Resources workers, which are all anti-us. Title 4D workers are basically Health and Human Resources workers, aren't they? So basically, 26 people who want these incentives, no matter what, created them. All right. Question number 15.
When I got the report and the statistics showing me that over children disappear every year, and we got police officers running around kidnapping children for money, and we got police officers running around arresting people for a plant, we have got our priorities straight messed up.
That's something else. How many children disappear every year? I know when we were in D.C. for the Nancy Schaefer rally, just days before, what was it? I know Raymond and Amelia could confirm this. Was it 500, 525, 250? I believe it was over 500 children went missing in and around D.C. in the matter of a couple of days in May. Right before the Nancy Schaefer event. But yeah, we're not talking about a small number here by any means. This is absolutely astronomical. So yeah, go listen to that number and be shocked and appalled. This is the last question, number 16. If you don't meet with a child who's been placed in foster care once a month, what did they call them? What did they call them? This is something out of Texas that I believe Texas started this term. What is the term for caseworkers, at least in Texas, that is used? Yeah, see, I did this fast. It is somewhat child-friendly. And this is a way, you know, that CPS justifies keeping track of the kids that they've either saved or kidnapped, depending. If they don't meet with these kids once a month, then they, at the end of the year, they can't ask for their continued incentive money, because not only were incentives put into Title IV-E, in this case in 1997 and 2002, and it was called the Act of 2002. It was in the Wheel of Judiciary, and I remember one of the more funny answers to it, which is incorrect, so I'm not even going to say it, but in 2002, they made the payments yearly. It continues every year until the child is 18. Instead of just getting a reward for finding the child a home, the foster parents and CPS facilities get rewarded every single year. Every year. So these kids are generally kidnapped at a younger age. They get $100,000 a year per kid until they're 18. We're not talking about just the foster care parents here. We're talking about the CPS agencies. So that is the final question. Let's go back to here. If you guys have any questions, please call in and we can just chat. There's one other thing that I wanted to share with you guys before we go, and I forgot to upload it, so I'm uploading it now. I'm so glad. One thing I did when I was doing all this and had to redo everything was put folders in my video folder, because at this point there's so many hundreds of videos that's trying to track down one, even though they're in alphabetical order, was very difficult. So now I've got like 20 different folders. You know, I've got a folder for the Schwabs, got a folder for Randy Davis, got a folder for Connie, John, all the way back to John Steinbeck, who was one of the first guests, or maybe the first guest. And like, there's 80 videos on the Million Parent March YouTube channel, and some of those, a few of those are far from normal. A couple of them are events, like Mark Young's events, which, speaking of Mark Young's event, Grandparents' Day is this Sunday. This Sunday. And he's having a Grandparents' Day event on the Capitol. I should really have that event pulled up before I open my trap. For some reason, I feel like it might be at Upper Senate Park. Mark, if you're listening, would you mind calling in? Is Mark listening? He's had a long day. I know he was working today. Let's see. We'll go back to Facebook. Oh, come on. It always has to load.
We're going to both be in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
We'll be there to answer questions,
So you
help
guys
guide
can
you,
probably hear this.
talk
Exactly.
you through, educate you. Just get there. Just get there for the sake of our children. That's all I ask.
I'm going to play that again because I have to turn the monitor on for me to hear that. Let's see if I can hear that now. You ready?
We're going to both be in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
We'll be there to answer questions, help guide you, talk
Exactly.
you through, educate you. Just get there. Just get there for the sake of our children. That's all I ask.
Ah, she's great. It's a great message. Just get there for the sake of our children. There's a lot of people going who can only make it there for the march, like myself last year. I know a guy from Vermont, just maybe an hour north of me, going down the day before, just like I did last year, and staying for the march and then driving home. So let's see, one comment. Down the day before, just I need this to be plugged in. So let's see. There it is. All right, any comments? Oh, Mark is watching. Well, Mark, do you want to call in and mention your event? Hey, Sarah. No, Lydia, I don't have them written down anywhere. You'll have to just watch through, and we went right into it, so it should go pretty fast. Yeah, Lydia, you can definitely come on the show. And you can watch anytime. YouTube is the best place to watch. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this up now. Sunday, I'll be broadcasting Mark Young's event, Grandparents' Day in D.C. If you're in the area, Maryland, Virginia, anywhere close to D.C., please get in touch with Mark Young. And attend his Grandparents' Day. It's at 10 o'clock a.m. Either on the Capitol lawn or in Upper Senate Park. Another thing I wish I had time to look at before this. But like I said, I didn't want to really think about Wheel of Judiciary tomorrow because of the hurricane. My son is right in the path, and they're going to be fine. They're in a good house, hurricane windows, and hurricane shutters. They're elevated. They're going to be A-okay. But still, you know, I want to kind of focus on them. So after the Far From Normal radio show on Tuesday, I'll give you the answers to this. I believe that's the plan. And then after that, we'll figure out who won a shirt and how you're going to get them. Have a great night, everybody. I'll play this, man, oh man. Let's see if I can find... There we go. Let's play some of this. And if you are down in Florida, and you're going to weather the storm, make sure you're not in a flood zone. I know the police are going around door to door, any place south of Tampa Bay, and telling people that there's mandatory evacuations. You don't want to be in a flood zone. Right now it's a Category 4. It should be a Category 2 tomorrow. And I know when it gets close to Tampa Bay, it's just going to completely dissipate. There's a reason why the Seminoles lived in that area, and almost all of the Native Americans in Florida would travel to the Tampa Bay area because they knew that it was the safest place to be during a hurricane. Either the hurricane goes right into Tampa Bay and dissipates, or gets bumped out of the way because of it. It's a large mass of like hot water, basically. That'll just, it's like a brick wall to a storm, I think. I'm hoping. You guys have a freaking great rest of your Friday night. Thanks for joining me. And I'll see you all on Monday for the community conference call to action. Give you any updates at that point. I love y'all. Bye-bye.